Today on Bench Briefs, we're looking at a landmark Supreme Court of Canada decision that reshaped how the justice system handles delays in criminal trials. On this episode, we dive into R v. Jordan, a 2016 case that set new standards for what counts as an unreasonable delay under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Barrett Richard Jordan was charged with drug-related offenses in British Columbia back in 2008. But it took nearly 5 years, about 49 and a half months, before his trial actually began in 2013. That's a long wait, especially when you consider the legal principle that everyone has the right to be tried within a reasonable time. Jordan argued that this delay violated his rights under Section 11B of the Charter, which guarantees a speedy trial. So, what caused such a lengthy delay? It wasn't just one factor. The delays were a mix of actions by both the Crown and the defense, as well as systemic issues within the justice system itself. For example, courts were overloaded, and there were scheduling conflicts and resource shortages that contributed to the wait. Both sides had their part to play, but the overall system's inefficiencies were a big part of the problem. When Jordan's case reached the Supreme Court, the justices had to answer a crucial question. How do we decide when a delay becomes unreasonable under Section 11B? Prior to this case, the courts used a more flexible approach, looking at all the circumstances to determine if a delay was unjustifiable. But this often led to inconsistent results and lengthy inquiries into why a delay happened. The Supreme Court recognized the need for a clearer, more predictable framework. So, they introduced what's sometimes called the Jordan framework, which sets presumptive ceilings on how long a case should take before it's considered delayed. For cases tried in provincial court without a preliminary inquiry, the ceiling is 18 months. For cases in superior court, or those with a preliminary inquiry, the ceiling is 30 months. If the delay exceeds these ceilings, the burden shifts to the Crown to justify the delay. If the Crown can't provide a reasonable explanation for why the case took longer, the delay is deemed unreasonable, and the case can be stayed, meaning the charges may be dropped altogether. The court also clarified how to allocate responsibility for delays. Delays caused by the defense don't count against the Crown or the system, but delays caused by the Crown or systemic issues do count, and they can push a case past the presumptive ceiling. This decision was groundbreaking because it put a hard limit on how long delays can be tolerated. It forced courts, prosecutors, and governments to take the problem of delays seriously and to work on improving efficiency. The ruling recognized that justice delayed is justice denied. Long waits can harm the accused, witnesses, and the public's confidence in the justice system. Since Jordan, the case has had a ripple effect across Canada. Courts have stayed numerous cases where delays were too long, pushing prosecutors to prioritize timely trials. Governments have invested in more resources to reduce backlogs, and lawyers have become more mindful of the impact their actions have on timelines. In the bigger picture, R v. Jordan highlights the balance between thorough, fair trials and the need for timely justice. It underscores the principle that constitutional rights aren't just words on paper. They have real consequences for how the justice system operates day to day. Thanks for listening to Bench Briefs. Be sure to join us next time for another deep dive into a case that shapes Canadian law and impacts lives across the country.